Barack Obama claiming credit for President Trump's economy. To prepare for today's show, I spent some time watching old videos of Barack Obama, reading old stories about Barack Obama. I actually forgot what a terrible president Obama was, and I bet you did too. You've got to go back and we're in such a different moment right now where we've got this energetic president, we've got him pushing conservative policies, we've got him being uncommonly honest with the American people, for better or for worse. He's saying things and he's actually doing those things. A great example of this would be the embassy in Jerusalem. Every president for my lifetime has promised to follow American policy, move the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. No one does it. No one expects him to do it. Trump comes in because he's such a political novice. He actually does it. People are shocked by that. Barack Obama, exactly the opposite. He doesn't do what he says he's going to do. He speaks in these mealy-mouthed words. He flops, he fails, and then he tries to take credit for other people's success. So here's the tweet that Obama sent out. Quote, 11 years ago today, near the bottom of the worst recession in generations, I signed the Recovery Act, paving the way for more than a decade of economic growth and the longest streak of job creation in American history. So it's all thanks to Obama. That Trump guy didn't do anything. He's just riding on Obama's success, right? Wrong. The historical record is pretty clear, and Obama flopped on the economy. What did Obama do? 2009 comes around, he signs the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. That was supposed to provide a little under $800 billion in stimulus, so-called stimulus money. It, of course, ran over budget, so the total was $831 billion. And we were supposed to get shovel-ready jobs as a result of this stimulus package, except the shovel-ready jobs didn't materialize. They didn't come. For the first 2 years of Obama's presidency, the unemployment rate was about 10%. 10%. It's hard for us to imagine that now, to even remember our recent past, because we now have basically no unemployment. We're now at record lows of unemployment. But it remained at about 10% for the first 2 years under Obama. The rate finally began to tick down, but that doesn't even tell the whole story, because part of the reason that the rate ticked down is because Americans just gave up looking for work. So as the rate was ticking down after 2010, 2011, it started to go down a little bit. That was because 8 million Americans who could have been working were not working. And to be fair to Barack Obama, that number was going down already. So there were people who were leaving the workforce anyway, and that was expected to continue. But they were only expecting an additional 3 million Americans to leave the workforce. So you had about 5 million Americans who were of working age, who should have been working, who analysts predicted would be working under a good economy. They were gone. 5 million people in the prime of their life who should have been working, gone. So the unemployment rate dropped, sure, but that didn't even tell the story. At the same time, wages flatlined. So people who you would hope would be making a little bit more money were not. At the same time, 300,000 manufacturing jobs disappeared. It was actually a little more than 300,000 manufacturing jobs gone, sent overseas, or automated out of existence, or just disappeared because of the bad economy. Now, Barack Obama, what he tried to do is say, look, this is the result of inevitable technological change, and there's just nothing we can do about it. Those jobs are just going to go away. As late as 2016, so don't labor under the misimpression that this was in those terrible days of the recession and they didn't know what was happening. This was as late as 2016, the year that President Trump was elected. Barack Obama said the manufacturing jobs, a lot of them just aren't going to come back, and there's nothing we can do about it. At a town hall in June of that year, he was asked by an Indiana steel worker what happened to all the jobs, and the answer he gave was to just throw up his hands.
How you doing, Mr. President?
How are you?
My name is Eric Cottenham, and I'm representing the Steelworkers Union, Local 1999, and I'm trying to find out what do we have left as far as all of our jobs are leaving.
Some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
What magic wand do you have? How are you going to bring those jobs back? I don't know if he had a magic wand, but he did bring the jobs back. In the first 2 years of Donald Trump's administration, more than 6 times as many manufacturing jobs were created as were created during the last 2 years of the Obama administration. This was Barack Obama's big mistake. This was his fatal flaw. He was a pretty good rhetorician, meaning he was pretty good at using slick talking points to kind of get around his bad legacy and his bad record. But he took it a little bit too far. So this big recession allowed Barack Obama to make excuses. All we ever heard for years and years was, this was the worst recession since the Great Depression. We pulled the country back from the brink. This country was heading off the cliff, and we pulled it back from the cliff. Republicans drove this country, put their feet on the accelerator, driving right off the cliff, right? He just kept blaming everything on the economy that he inherited from George W. Bush. But he made this one fatal error, which was that he made predictions. And one of those predictions is the manufacturing jobs aren't coming back, like he just told that Indiana steelworker, except they did come back. And so when the predictions are proven wrong, then you begin to see that his grasp of the economy isn't so great. The best case that Barack Obama could make for his administration's handling of the economy was that he, quote, saved us from a Great Depression. That's what you heard all of his defenders say too. The trouble is, that's an unfalsifiable historical hypothetical, right? There's no way for me to prove or disprove that Barack Obama saved us from a Great Depression because the Great Depression didn't happen. And so he got a lot of credit for these unfalsifiable claims about what would have happened if Barack Obama hadn't come along. You can falsify, however, his predictions. And we did falsify his predictions. And as a result of that, because he was wrong about such a key aspect of his economic policy, we begin to realize that his entire economic policy was that weak. We begin to realize that the claims he's making that are hypothetical about saving us from a Great Depression, there's no evidence for that either. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the country. If you enjoyed this video, and really, even if you didn't, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of our content.